Hi, this is a response to AndrewKinghorn15 on the subject of biblical archaeology. Andrew, you recently brought up a website called arcdiscovery.com, which is one of the most ridiculous websites in history, with absolutely terrible arguments. And you said the evidence is well documented, which I think is really disingenuous on your part, because when we called you out on it and started talking about the Ark, supposed Noah's Ark they'd found in Turkey, and you were like, oh, I'm not sure about that, look at the other arguments. So I thought, you shouldn't be sure about it really, because the Ark's made of stone. It's part of a geological formation. But anyway, let's move on to one of your issues, your beliefs on the Red Sea crossing. You say the Red Sea crossing happened, God parted the Red Sea and led people to safety. Well, let's look at that. Let's make several points about that. There's the fact that there have been thousands of testimonies of miracles occurring in thousands of religions, and yet you believe these particular testimonies. But what makes them any more credible? I mean, they're just stories, they're just testimonies in a book. Why don't you believe the testimonies of other religions? And the only reason why is because it goes against your faith. I'm guessing that's the same reason you go against evolution, because it goes against your faith. You might trust a scientist if he talked about the composition of the atmosphere on, say, Neptune or something, or what Jupiter looks like. But if it goes against what the Bible says, then you're instantly against it. Whether it's the Big Bang or evolution, if it's not in the Bible, it didn't happen. It's not real. Which I think is a really closed-minded and unscientific view of the world. It's really unwise, because you just ignoring information on principle, ignoring the possibility that you might be wrong in a few things. And if we get back to the Red Sea crossing, we have like Ron Wyatt, who went around the globe looking for evidence in support of biblical claims. Basically, he had a pre-established conclusion, and then he went around looking for evidence that could support it, which is the opposite of what science does. Science absorbs the information and then makes theories out of it, rather than says, alright, here's the base conclusion, now what facts can we find to support it? And that's what Ron Wyatt did in his search for evidence for the Red Sea crossing. He found maybe a chariot wheel here, or a fossilised tooth there, maybe mapped where the people went, and somehow this gives credibility to the story of the miracle occurring. But the miracle itself, there's no evidence for, and it's really imprudent to believe it, because all of modern science contradicts the possibility of a miracle occurring, because there is a natural order that is unchanging in the universe, and endless literature supports this. And yet, just because the Bible says so, one testimony out of, say, 10,000 testimonies in human history, I think David Hume says it best, from an argument from common sense. I picked out a few quotes, and I'll show them here. It's just, to me, that sums up really. Just, what is more likely? That it was a story, or that it actually happened, and a miracle actually happened? Given that a miracle happening would go against sort of 300, 400 years of scientific study, the unchanging laws of physics that we have, all of this solid information we have, all of it would be swayed by one miraculous event, and there's no evidence for that. And so, because your argument goes against common sense, it's nonsense. The Bible clearly contains myths, it contains allegories, it contains cultural bias. So why trust a story in its true, given we have hundreds of years of science saying otherwise?